My talk today is the power of baby steps. And look what we got in the room with us. Oliver over here is just taking his first steps over the holidays. Yeah, right? And remember the power of that. The power of being that new, that fresh, that curious, that longing to do the next thing, that's yours to do. There's a quote, of course, from Matthew, and it says, I tell you, unless you change and become like children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Whew. And what we know here, what we know when we teach and we practice here, is that heaven is not a place in the sky. Heaven is a state of consciousness that we can create right here and right now. So when we become like the little children, when we set our mind to the next step we need to take, when we set our mind to that genuine, relentless curiosity about what's going on, what's over there, what's that like, what's your experience like? How does it feel to be in your skin, your body, your experience? When we have that kind of curiosity and genuine interest, we enter the kingdom of heaven by being present to the ones who are around us, the community of love that exists here on this planet, 7 billion of us on the planet, all seeking to understand, to know, to be childlike. Not childish, childlike. Because there's enough of childish in the world. We can get an amen to that. But to be childlike and be so curious and so ready to take on the next thing that the world is transformed. Oh, take that in for a minute. And understand what your calling is here in this life. Yes, you may have been born a certain gender, been born into a certain community, a class, an understanding. But really what you're here to do is experience it all. How many people here are foodies? Do you like all the ethnic food you get here in San Francisco, right? Right? And now with the internet and all the cooking channels, how rich and abundant our choices are on food. That did not exist in my growing up I grew up in a fabulous food city, New Orleans. But my mom's cooking was straight out of a can. And spices were salt and pepper. And that was it. So what's exploded in my life and what I've gotten to learn in my journeys is food from all over the world and being curious about what it is to experiencing new things in your palate. Yeah. Oliver is experiencing that right now too. World opening up to food. So that's what gets to happen for us when we become childlike again. We celebrate each step along the way. For those of you who don't recognize her, that's Roma, my 7-year-old, right? And this is at Reverend Deanne's house when Roma takes her first steps. And here it is.
Get your toy. Come and get your toy. Come and get your toy.
Over here.
Yeah!
And what I love about that is when you see her downstairs right now, she looks nothing like that anymore, and she looks exactly like that. But at the same time, it's Deanne and I screaming with delight and cheering her on for taking those first steps. Wouldn't it be great if all of our friends did that for us for every new thing we did? Yay! Let's give each other a huge round of applause for what you did today. Yay! Woo! Woo! To the music team, I asked you to change everything first thing this morning, and you did. Yay! You all got out of bed, got to the Zoom room, to your computer, or came here with your fabulous clothes on. Yay! You brought your whole self to this experience. You brought all of you here to experience the spiritual wholeness that you are, the spiritual vitality that exists in the world, and that you get to be fully a part of. Yay! You didn't isolate. You didn't say, no, I'm not going to participate. You chose to step in fully to life's journey. And that all should be celebrated. Whether you're sitting here today crying because of something that's happened in your life and the pain you feel from loss, or you're here because of a job change and the anxiety and the fear around it, or you're here just to celebrate the good that is happening in your life with your children and your family and your world. They're all part of the spectrum of life, and we cannot ignore one part of it and experience the other parts fully. The sadness is the exact correlation to all the joy. And when we anesthetize and refuse to feel the sadness and the sorrow, we don't get to feel all the joy as much as well. There's part of me that sees that and misses it, right? And I know all of you, all the parents here do, right? We remember those precious moments. And now Roma gives me side eye. And she goes, Papa. And that's funny too, right? Because I know it's all part of the journey of self-differentiation and self-expression. And I want her to grow up fully able to express all of her feelings and emotions. I mean, how many of us were told, don't feel that way? I'll give you something to cry about, right? Yeah, can't you see I don't have time for you right now? And as a parent, I understand all those statements. I do, I truly do. But at the same time, I am open to creating the space for my children to know it differently. And that's what I want us all to go back to. It's those first steps and those first experiences, because a lot of our life is lived from the reaction to the things we were told and things we heard as children. And going back and hitting one foot in front of the other and taking the next baby step is truly the path to greater expression right here and right now. It's not too late to go back, because none of us ever did any of this alone. We all got help with those first steps, as you witnessed in that video. We all get held and taught and how to stand up, and we still need that today. Whether you're a lawyer, and I see the lawyers in the house, and I see the medical professionals in the house, and I see the accountants in the house, and I see the musicians in the house, and I see the retired people in the house, and none of us got any of our skills, our degrees, and our capabilities alone, did we? No, someone sat and did homework with us. Someone guided us through the process. Someone mentored us and taught us. We were helped every step of this way. And this myth of the self-made man is just that. It's a myth. It does not exist. For we are all living in a communal society and all need each other to survive. But what we need more is the ability to say, I don't know. Or let me go back and start again from scratch and learn something new. To make the quickest progress in your life, you don't take huge steps. When I was a dancer, a professional dancer, I didn't learn how to do 4 classical ballet pirouettes the first day in ballet class, right? I learned to stand up straight. And then I learned to stand up straight on one leg. And then I learned to stand up straight on one leg and pretend I was doing pirouettes. And then eventually, after years and years of study, if I was really on focus that day, I could do 4 and land them perfectly. And Callie's looking at me because she knows what I'm talking about. She knows the efforts. And where's Carolyn? Caroline knows what I'm talking about, the effort that it takes to do that kind of thing. But they're done in such small incremental steps that it is really transformative. The Japanese, they call this approach Kaizen, which literally translates as continual improvement. Kaizen is achieved by doing tiny, tiny little things very, very well. And so I ask you to consider, what is one of your goals in life right now? What is something that you're longing for and seeking? And how can you break that down into the smallest, most incremental, and most fundamental steps that you can master each step along the way? And before you know it, you'll be speaking a new language. You'll be able to dance like Rosie. You'll be able to sing like Misa or Callie. Or, yeah, no? Okay, Cindy's shaking her head. All right, you won't sing like Misa, but you'll sing like you. Yeah, you'll sing like you extraordinarily, right? That goal is you unfolding to your highest and your best. Yes, yes, Oliver. And you sing out, right? You say yes to it all. I want to learn how to talk. Maybe not as much as Reverend Ken, but I want to learn how to talk. And by doing that, by saying yes to the tiniest of steps, you overcome your resistance to change. And you may think you don't have resistance to change, but come talk to me after. And I'll change the order of service and see if you have any resistance to that. Or change something about how we do things here. We all, it's part of the human situation, the human process, that we get used to things the way they are. And when they change, we reflectively sometimes call it bad. Right? But change is the only constant. So while we can dream big, and I encourage you all to dream big and to think big and to set audacious goals, I also encourage you to underachieve daily. To take it slow, right? And take baby steps, for they are truly the key to your long-term success. Thomas Jefferson put it this way: if you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. Ha! So if you're sitting here going, oh, I want financial success, you must be willing to look at money differently than you have ever looked at it. How you handle it, how you do everything with it. If you want to achieve anything else in your life, whether it's a relationship or a job, you have to learn to do things differently, because the old you can't get you there. If it could, it would already have. You have to create the new you. And Scripture tells us that you are restored every day by the renewing of your mind, right? Renewing your mind, starting it again, is the key to creating something new. And when we do, inevitably, something will go wrong. So I like this version of it. This baby taking her first baby steps. Look, she can stand up on her own. And it's a little frightening. I think Daddy's filming her. And there she goes. Mommy, yes, I can do this. And you're going to make it? You're going to take that step? No. That is adorable, right? And is that the process of learning how to walk? Right. But how come when we stumble, when we fail, when we don't succeed, we call it failure? We call it, see, I can't do that. See, I'm not meant to do that. Instead of calling it the process of learning something new. We have to keep on keeping on, taking those baby steps until we're proficient at it. And it's so easy to see with the little ones. It's so easy to see, but we don't see it with each other, and we don't see it in ourselves. So I encourage us to cheer each other on each and every baby step along the way. Because in my 12-step groups, we talk about it this way. Don't give up before the miracle happens. Don't give up. In May, if I keep on keeping on, I will be clean and sober from all drugs and alcohol for 20 years on May 1st. Yeah, 20 years. And every day we threw a party at our house last night for a not-for-profit organization. JD and I threw it at Marin, and there was wine everywhere. And then he's cleaning up after the party going, wine, interesting. I'm choosing not to have this glass of wine. I haven't had a glass of wine, like I said, in 19 some and plus years. But every day I make that choice. That's what I'm going to do. Don't give up before the miracle happens means there's more for me in sobriety than there ever was in using. There's more for you in following your goal and taking the next baby step than ever was in the way you did things before. So when you create something new, when you take on something new, keep on keeping on and don't give up before you have the full experience of what it's like to live in that new reality. Because I have to tell you, it's amazing to be the difference from where I was 20 years ago to here. And I wouldn't know any of you. I wouldn't know any of you. I wouldn't have the love and the respect from you and for you if I hadn't taken that first baby step on the road to recovery. So please do not give up before the miracle happens. Baby steps are not small for the baby. They represent a major shift in worldview and possibilities. And think about it from the perspective of those little ones. Everything is huge. Everything is bigger than them, and yet they will not give up. One of the videos that I didn't pull was a little baby like that climbing over bleachers. It was hysterical, but they just are relentless. And so are you. That baby exists in each and every one of you. That baby is still longing for that soul fulfillment. Take the next step and make it all possible.